answer to your questions. I'll be the teacher, you could be the lesson. I'll be the preacher, you be the confession.
All right, we're going to leave that right there. Got to cut that off, generally let that play through, but we got a lot to unpack today. We got several interviews this morning. I am pleasured. First of all, let me say that the views expressed by the host and callers of this show are not necessarily views of WLTH management, owners, advertisers, or sponsors. And let me announce or present WLTH regional sports presentation, reaching Lake and Porter County, all of Northwest Indiana, with the Silver Fox, here on 1370 AM, 92.7 FM, the region's choice and the people's voice. Now, I kind of got a little excited because I got some great interviews lined up today. I am honored. I am pleased. I'm so happy to have today's first interview. It is Dr. Roland Walker, and he is not alone. Dr. Walker, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic, and thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you for joining the show. Dr. Walker, I've been looking at your emails. You got a pretty impressive list of endorsements here. We're not going to put the cart in front of the horse, so I'm going to allow you to take this time and tell the listening audience why we're here, what you're about, and who you have with you. The stage is yours.
Okay, so first of all, with us today is Nathaniel George. Not only is he a fantastic friend, but he is the engineer that drives the train for Gary Nike RBI, okay? And we have a fantastic origin story. So Gary Nike RBI has been doing youth baseball and softball training for many years. Now, RBI is Major League sponsored and run, Major League Baseball, and it stands for Reviving Baseball in the Inner City. And so the origin story for our league is this. About 3 years ago, my daughter, and I'm sure that at some point somebody's talked about her on this show, she plays baseball. She's 18. She plays baseball and softball in the region. She just graduated from Bishop Noel, and she and her best friend are going to Xavier to play softball in this fall, right? And they'll be roommates. So she wanted to go to this tournament in Chicago. So the Cubs, I didn't know at the time, the Chicago Cubs were hosting the regional tournament in Chicago. And we went, and that's when I started at this tournament seeing a whole bunch of Major League Baseball administrators and coaches that I knew because my daughter has been to several Major League Baseball camps for baseball and for softball. So I was trying to figure out what this league was because I wasn't familiar with RBI, or at least on the tournament side. So I called Nate George right from the tournament. I was like, why are we not in this tournament? That led to the very next year, last year, 2024, we had a senior baseball and a senior softball team in the tournament. And lo and behold, our softball team won the Central Region tournament in Chicago and went to the World Series. Now, the great thing about winning your regional tournament is when you win, from that point on, Major League Baseball funds everything. So our girls had a fantastic trip. From the time they hit the airport, they have security, they have flights, they have transportation. They spend the week in Florida, and they played fantastic in the World Series. They beat Puerto Rico. They beat Hawaii. Lost to the eventual champions. Houston has won 7 of the last 8 years. But great experience for them.
This is in softball.
That's in softball, yes.
And yes, we definitely are going to talk about your daughter. That's going to be another segment to this interview. But go ahead, sir.
So this year we're returning as the softball defending champs and our baseball team is loaded this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, though, it's in Kansas City this year. The Kansas City Royals are hosting this year. So that presents a challenge to us more than last year. Last year it cost us about $5,000 to transport the kids back and forth to Chicago and get them uniformed and everything. This year it's going to cost us about $25,000. So that's what leads us to come in to talk to you. So the other teams, Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox, any other team that's going to be in the tournament, the Kansas City Royals, Minnesota Twins, they are funded and administrated by those major league teams, right? So they have entire staffs. To be honest with you, Gary Railcats are volunteer. It's me and Nate George who's on the line. So I would love for him to kind of give his spiel on, where we are right now and where we need to go.
Okay. How you doing, sir?
Yes. Yeah, I'm good. How you doing, Leonard? Thank you for having us to talk about this. So yeah, we as Dr. Walker talked about, when we first got on the scene in 2016, we were heavily focused in on just providing training for kids. So one of our main goals is to, one, introduce the sport to as many kids as possible, boys and girls, and then number two, to remove any barriers that exist to playing baseball and or softball. In order to be a really good softball player or a good baseball player, and Dr. Walker has a daughter that plays, and I have a son who plays baseball, we both know there's hitting instruction that has to take place, there's fielding instruction that has to take place. We got to purchase equipment. So there are all these barriers sometimes to our community to playing baseball and softball. And so what we try to do is remove those barriers. So all of the families who will be attending, or all of the girls and boys who will be going to Kansas City, we're not asking them for a dime. We're putting the burden on us to do it and for the community to support them. And so by doing so, we ensure that they're able to continue to improve their skills. They can invest their money in the equipment. They can invest their money in the training. Whatever they can't get from us, they can get from any outside source. But that's one of our main focuses, is just to remove any barriers that exist, to playing. Leonard, I don't know if you've ever played before, but I know I played briefly Little League, and Dr. Walker played some in high school. Baseball is the toughest sport that anybody ever would want to play, right? When you have a hitter who gets a hit 30% of the time and fails 70% of the time, and that's considered a good hitter, you know the sport is really difficult. And so the thing that Dr. Walker and I both love about baseball and the sport of baseball is the adversity that you have to go through, right? Because it's no different than everyday life. None of our lives is going to be without any kind of blemishes or obstacles. And oftentimes what separates us from, people who are successful is, are you able to overcome and grow and become better as a result of it? So that's why, baseball is really a sport that we're really passionate about, because there's so many good life lessons that can be learned, from the successes and failures of it.
Yes, and to answer your question, yeah, I did play, and baseball was my favorite sport. And actually, I should have been in the major league. I got derailed. That's just my thoughts on that. But I want to go back to what you said about taking away obstacles from playing baseball. So if you could just elaborate on that just a little bit more.
Yeah, so, there's one thing to take care of the registration, right? So, if you play Little League, and if you're playing travel, it's even worse. We're talking $2,000 to $3,000.
Oh, you're talking financial obstacles.
That's
then.
Financial obstacles, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking $2,000 to $3,000, and we're not even adding in any costs that you pay for your hotel rooms, for your lodging, for things like that. So yeah, it's extremely challenging for people to commit to playing baseball. In addition to how challenging of a sport it is, right? So
yeah.
That's why, what we try to do is remove any and all barriers. When we took the kids to compete in Chicago last year, like that was all on our dime and the community's dime, right?
Wow.
So the community stepped up and helped out, and we were able to transport kids, get them meals, get them uniforms, all those things. As Dr. Walker mentioned, we're going up against the heavy hitters. We're going up against the White Sox, the Cubs, the Royals, all of those organizations, all of those, RBI organizations are funded with Major League Baseball sponsored money.
So let me ask you a question, Nate, sir. This is Nate George, president of Gary's RBI. For those in the listening audience wondering who's
Well, you
on
gave me a promotion. I'm not the president. I would consider myself the head of baseball and softball operations.
Okay, well, the head of baseball and softball for RBI, Gary. Now, how do we get that sponsorship, or is that attainable for Gary's RBI? I think that would be a question on some of the listening audience.
Sure. So, two things we can do, because we're 6 days out now from going to Kansas City. The easiest thing to do, which gives some challenge to us, is that we have a GoFundMe site. So I can give the URL to that, first of all.
Yeah.
And it's
I
also,
think do
before I
that
give
first. Yeah, in fact, do that. Tell the people where they can donate, and then we can get into the rest of this interview. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. So they can either Google Help Gary RBI Teams Reach Kansas City. That's probably the easiest way, and that'll take you to the GoFundMe page. So it's Help Gary RBI Teams Reach Kansas City. But I'll give the URL. You know, those can be a little wonky, but it's https://2// GoFundMe/ and then this is the important part, CB034910. So GoFundMe.me/CB034910.
And if that's even a little complicated, you can go to the Gary RBI Facebook page. There's a link there, and Walker Medical also has Lake County Walker Medical, right, Dr. Walker?
Yes.
Lake County Walker Medical on Facebook. There's links to it
Okay,
there.
that's going to be a lot easier than the other link. I don't think people copied it out. So, again, that's at the Gary RBI Facebook page, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
And also at the Walter, what was the name again? I'm sorry.
Walker Medical.
Walker Medical also is that.
Mm-hmm.
So they can go there and help get this team to Kansas City.
Also, because so with fundraisers, one of the things I've had to learn on the fly is there's a clearinghouse because they want to make sure that we're legitimate.
Right.
So that money goes into a clearinghouse, and we have to wait for it to come back out. Anybody willing to write a check, I am willing to drive to you and pick it up because we are 6 days out.
Yeah,
any businesses, any individuals, I will come. Or anybody that wants to drop it off at my office. I have an office at 426 South Lake Street in Gary, and we take checks to be dropped off there as well.
Okay. So thank you for coming on the air. Now we got the formalities out the way. Let me ask you again. You say a lot of these teams are sponsored by Major League Baseball, and I know we're being a startup. We probably got to go through a couple channels to get our Major League sponsorship. How do we go about that? Or can we go about that?
Yeah, no, we can't. So they're already tied to their flagship organization. So there are two kind of RBI programs you can have. You can have those that are tied to Major League Baseball programs, or you can have the independent ones that are not tied to Major League Baseball programs. And that is the one that we are. But that doesn't diminish the amount of talent that we have in the community, and in not only Gary but the surrounding communities, because we're a pretty big melting pot of kids who are playing. It just makes it a little bit more challenging from a fundraising perspective, and we know what we're up against. But you know, it's a David versus Goliath thing, right? And in this one, we are David. And when you get in between the lines, doesn't matter how much money you have. It matters, you know, what's in your head and what's in your heart, and you know how hard you work. And so we just need to get there. Once we get there, you know, we can equal the playing field. But getting there is what we need to do.
Okay, so we talked about the business side of this when we giving out the link, and we're gonna allow you to give that again a little bit later before we leave the air. But talk to me about your players. What's their age, rank? What's some of their where do they come from? Just give us a general profile of some of these players.
Sure. So when we were talking about barriers earlier, I want to tell you a quick story that'll help you relate. If you notice in Little League, our kids do extremely well up until about age 12. And then our kids start dropping out. So I coached at West Side, and a lot of people complain. I coached at Calumet, but our kids didn't seem to win baseball games there. And what they don't realize is our kids usually stop playing at about 11 or 12, and then you ask them to go into high school, 15, 16, and play varsity seasons against kids that are training every day. It's virtually impossible. So at 12 or so, that's when you have to start taking hitting lessons and fielding lessons and so forth. So those are the type of barriers that we're trying to break down. So a lot of our players are players who have excelled even with some of those financial barriers. So when you go through our roster, you're going to see some of those kids that you see lots of times on Max Preps, and they're doing extremely well, and then you wonder, well, why aren't they on one of the premier travel leagues? And that goes back to those barriers. So our kids are 14 to 19. By major league rules, we can take 2 college players that are 19. And we have Emmanuel Smith, who plays at Southern University. And then we had Trey Stevens, who right now is going to be one of our coaches, who we thought was going to be able to play with us. And he plays at, what did he transfer to, Nate? So Trey Stevens.
He's at Ball State.
He's at Ball State. And so then we have players from multiple high schools. Bishop Knoll, we have players from River Forest, we have players from all around the region. So not just, even though we play under the Gary umbrella, we do have players from other Northwest Indiana teams as well. Okay. And we have kids that are committed to Wiley College this year. We have kids that are committed to Russ College this year. So we have 14. So we have a 14-year-old that's coming with us as an alternate, and we have 19-year-olds. So it's a big age range there.
Okay, and tell me something about how you got to this stage. What games you had to win? Is there a regular season? I know this is a traveling team. How does that exactly work? Is there a season? Is there a certain amount of games you have to play? Just give us an understanding on how you got to this point.
Well, Nate George makes this happen, right? So our kids usually get to play on the baseball side at Railcat Stadium, and that's why we play under the uniform of the Railcats. And so it's an exciting point. So even the kids who did not make the All-Star team got to play a minimum of 10 games, and they got to play most of those in the Railcat Stadium.
Wow.
And that, for their development, just itself is amazing.
So this been going on for what, since the spring? You've been playing games at the Railcat Stadium?
Yes, sir.
All your home games?
That and Optimus Park are the two
we
places
have most of the games whenever the Railcats aren't in town.
Wow. Did y'all promote that? I didn't know they was playing AAU or traveling baseball at the Railcat Stadium. That's interesting. So we have to get into that. I know that's a conversation for another day, though. So I was looking at it. They are playing in Kansas City in the Nike RBI Central Region Tournament in Kansas City, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
correct.
Okay, and what's the date of this game? I know it's 6 days out, but what's the exact date for this game?
So the tournament is from the 24th to the 27th, but the first game that we play is a week from today. We just need to be in Kansas City by next Thursday. And then the games are Friday and Saturday. And, I believe in speaking things into existence. When we win, we make it to the championship round, we play on Sunday.
Okay. Well, we're going to definitely try to get you to Kansas City, and we definitely believe you got the talent to win this thing. I was looking at the emails you sent me. You got some very impressive names in there. You have Moni Davis, former Little League young lady who starred in the Little League. You had Andre the Hawk Dawson, Lloyd McClennan. All of them are big sponsors, are really endorsing this for the Gary. So can you speak to that just a little bit?
So Monet Davis kind of mirrors my daughter, so that's why we use her as an example. My daughter's also played baseball and softball like Monet, and so she's been really encouraging, sending messages to my daughter, whose name is Caitlin Walker. As far as Andre Dawson, so I claim the title of the biggest Andre Dawson fan in the world.
Okay.
He's been extremely kind to me. Wallace Johnson, Gary native, played with Andre Dawson on the Montreal Expos. And so that allows me to be able to send messages to Andre Dawson, and he helps out. And the wonderful thing about Andre Dawson is that several years ago, my wife's grandfather passed away, and Andre Dawson runs funeral homes in Miami. And he got word that I was his biggest fan, and that man spent a couple of hours with me and my daughter after the funeral just talking and giving advice. So he's a wonderful person. He's been extremely supportive.
Now
We appreciate Andre Dawson.
You dropped the name. You dropped Wallace Johnson. Is Wallace Johnson part of this project as well, sir? Wallace Johnson
He has.
Go ahead, talk.
Wallace has been individually coaching some of the kids, including my daughter, on the team. Wallace Johnson has been an extremely great sponsor to us financially and a mentor to me. I couldn't say anything better about Wallace. I mean, he's just a fantastic person.
Yeah, Wallace Johnson, for those that know, is Gary's own, one of the great baseball player to come out the city. Another great name that came out the city and that's a sponsor on this is Lloyd McClendon. Speak to that a little bit, if you could.
So Lloyd is one of the original founders of RBI. We didn't have this program until 2016, so he's kind of our founding father, and for many of us, especially in my generation, like Lloyd was the North Star, when it came to seeing a professional baseball player. Like I still remember watching him play for the Cubs back in the day, and I'll never forget when Harry Carey, said, "Oh, Lloyd McClendon from Gary, Indiana," and I was just like, "Wait, what? Like, really?" And so yeah, he's just been, kind of like the Godfather here, right? So just steering us and guiding us, and so really appreciate his support. He's been pounding the pavement, making sure that we get the kind of support that we need, and it's good to have somebody like him and Wallace Johnson. Doc didn't mention LaTroy Hawkins, but LaTroy Hawkins has been a really good supporter as well. So yeah, our baseball community has really, really stepped up big time, and so we're so appreciative of it.
I was hearing you say LaTroy Hawkins, Wallace Johnson, Lloyd McClendon. I was hoping you say Ron Kittle. Has Ron Kittle, have anybody reached out to him, or is he wanting to be a part of this?
Yeah, we have. Need to follow up to see where we are with Ron Kittle, but yeah, he has been somebody that we've reached out to as well.
Okay, we got a few more minutes, and before we go, I was reading the email, and it says that more than a game, this game's offers opportunity. You was going to take the young people after they play their games. You're going to take them to the Kansas City Baseball Negro Hall of Fame. Can you speak to that just a little bit?
Sure. So back in, I think, 2023, at one of the Major League Baseball camps, they took the youth to the Negro Baseball Museum, and I was able to go. And this is when I really learned that Negro baseball history is American history. That's where I learned, black people are always associated with fried chicken. And I always wonder, why do we talk about black people with fried chicken? The truth of the matter is that we're associated with fried chicken because when the Negro Leagues would drive through the South in their buses, they couldn't stop at restaurants. It was a coordinated effort from each town to town. They would fry chicken, wrap it in wax paper, put it in boxes, and bring it to the bus because fried chicken doesn't spoil easy. And that's how the players got their sustenance. When you learn things like that, life makes more sense. I need those kids to learn those life lessons. So we have to go to the Negro Baseball Museum.
All right. And before we go, we got to talk about Miss Caitlin Walker. Yes, she's an interesting story, and I don't think nobody can tell it better than you. So, yes, the last couple minutes, and right before that, I want you to give the information so that people can donate to this worthy cause. But can you speak to this outstanding young lady that's making her name in baseball and softball?
So Caitlin has played in the RBI leagues in both the baseball and the softball side. Unfortunately, she has to make a choice because the games overlap. So she made the choice to play with the softball team last year. They're the defending champions, so she'll be with the softball team again this year. She and her best friend, Jada Barrow, who's also played in RBI and been part of us, are going to Xavier this fall to play softball. They'll be roommates there. So we look forward to seeing all the successes they have. And you can hear more stories like that when you donate to, if you Google Help Gary RBI Teams Reach Kansas City. If you Google Help Gary RBI Teams Reach Kansas City, our GoFundMe page comes right up. However, because of the short time period, I encourage you, if you would like to write a check, and any amount is greatly appreciated, I will come pick up a check myself. You can call my office at 219-939-6070. That's 219-939-6070. You can drop a check off at 426 South Lake Street in Gary, Indiana. That's 426 South Lake Street in Gary, Indiana, right on Lake Street in Miller. And also, you can go to the Walker Medical Facebook page, and you'll see the links there as well.
All right. Thanks the both of you, Dr. Walker, Nate George, for coming on the show. Thank you for telling your story and sharing with us how Gary baseball's being rejuvenated in the city of Gary, and how it pretty much never went away. It just went undercover, and now it's starting to make its face in take its place on baseball stage now, and its greatest stage. So I want to thank you again. I'm going to give you another opportunity to give out your information for the donations, but thank you for joining this broadcast.
Yes, and can we give our flowers out to Nate George? He almost single-handedly does all this, so we're going to give our flowers to him. And once again, please go to the Google Help Gary RBI Teams Reach Kansas City, or go to the Walker Medical or the Gary RBI Facebook pages, and our links are there as well.
All right, good luck to you. Yes, sir.
Leonard, Dr. Walker is being way too generous right now. I do not do this alone. There are a bunch of people who help along the way, including himself. He is one of the drivers of this. So, as well as other people in the community. So this is not something you can do by yourself. So just appreciate the community support as they just assist us along the way and helping these kids. You know, a lot of these kids probably won't be professional baseball players, but what we do hope is that they will be better human beings as a result of this. And so we feel really confident that those who don't become professional baseball or softball players will be better human beings, and that's with the support of everybody in the community.
That's what matters the most. I got your contact information. I will be making a donation to help you, and I want to send you off with this little medley or melody right here. You all have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining the broadcast.
All right,
thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.